Mewgenics is a game designed to tear apart the cats you love. So I set out to prove that with the right strategy, I could lead a ragtag squad of feline misfits to victory. But I didn't count on the game trolling me with a literal biological weapon. This is the story of how my own teammates turned into my nightmare, and a single bird flu outbreak turned my perfect run into a horror show. We're talking about a roguelike indie game specifically designed to infect, mutate, and dismantle everything you love. 1 minute, you think you've bred the perfect feline team, only for one cruel roll of the dice to wipe them out before you even meet the final boss.
Oh my god!
It's unfair, and it's the most evil cat game ever made. So why is it in the middle of 2026 can I not stop playing it? And that's why I made this video, to understand what makes this game so good and why I'm still hooked, even when it's doing its best to punish me. If you're playing the game for the first time, it might be helpful for you to know that it's okay to fail a run or two. It is pretty massive for an indie game. With a vast selection of classes and items to choose from, you're more likely to get overwhelmed with everything that is happening. You might be too focused on surviving your encounter to formulate a good synergy of your skills to choose between classes in your first couple of runs with the game. Once you've figured out which skills you're comfortable using with your well-bred cats, the next pitfall of Mewgenics are the bosses. It has one of the most infuriating bosses known to man and cats alike, called Dybbuk, who can dodge anything, and I mean anything you can throw at it. And yeah, he's like Neo in the Matrix. If you confront it head-on without thinking, you're going to have a rough time with it. But that's the point of Mewgenics. Throughout your playthrough, you're given a set of items and abilities that you can choose to dish out your enemies. However, if you don't have the specific abilities to fight the bosses for the first time, you might panic and get overwhelmed because you will be surprised with its abilities. Playing the boss a second time might get you the right tools for the battle to be easier once you've strategized how to beat it. This lack of information is kinda missing early on for the player, which could make the game a very frustrating experience, especially those with little time to play a full session. Over time, as you master the mechanics, a dangerous sense of overconfidence starts to settle in. But Mewgenics has a way of injecting fear into your veins like no other game if you become too careless. Venturing into new locations might seem frightening at first, since new enemies have abilities you've never seen before that can one-shot your cats if you don't pay attention. I experienced this exact fear when I got overconfident in one of my last runs. I had the perfect squad: a hunter for raw damage, a mage for utility, a butcher to soak up hits, and the druid for summoning and healing. But the real MVP is my hunter. Right out of the gate, I hit the absolute jackpot with its starter abilities, so broken they could carry the entire run single-handedly. I got the scatter shot and the crit passive, which can destroy enemy teams and bosses. For the first couple of areas, things actually went well with a couple of mistakes here and there. I did get unlucky with one of my events, with my hunter getting hit with a poison debuff, which means that it's going to be more vulnerable and more of a target in the future by enemies. Things still went smoothly, and I even took the hard path because I was confident that my hunter is going to be amazing with its critical hits, and my butcher is capable of tanking hits while dealing massive damage, with its special ability that can destroy enemies with less than 3 HP. With that, we easily beat the first boss. With the same tactic, we also ran through the bunker with no problem. This is where the butcher's ability shined the most, having the ability to snap enemies out of existence, and even made short work of Johnny using my hunter's scatter shot ability. At this point, I was convinced that there is nothing that the game can throw at me that has even the slightest chance of beating my team. And oh boy, did the game finally respond. A few stages after the next level, a random event popped up. It was something I'd never seen before, but in my state of total overconfidence, I didn't even stop to read the text. The very next fight, it wasn't just a loss, it was a complete horror show. Without warning, my druid's crow, the same summon I had spent the entire run buffing and turning into a powerhouse, turned against us. It happened to fly right through my most vulnerable cat, my hunter. And just like that, the run looks over. I sat there in my chair in shock by what I just witnessed. I was doing so well before that event, and I actually had to quit the game to take some breath. As it turns out, that minor event that I ignored a couple of minutes earlier was a literal run killer, the Birdemic Event. It makes every bird on the map, including your own summons, become violently hostile. I had spent the whole game making my crow a monster, and the game simply used that strength to beat me. This event was the game's way of crushing my chances of ever completing this run. After a few minutes, I calmed down again and played Mewgenics to replay the stage with the help of Steve. But this time, I equipped my hunter cat with the right armor and items so that it could at least survive the round. The crow eventually turned its attention to a more vulnerable cat, but it still managed to take out the druid. At this point, I asked myself if this run is even worth saving. I just thought of how this bird flu event was the most unfair event that I've encountered so far, being so random that I wasn't even given the chance to choose my own fate. And so I've just decided that to heck with this stupid event. I could end the run right now and save my sanity. But if the game wants to take out my precious hunter cat, then it would have to beat me one more time. No resets, no Stevens, just pure strategy and a little bit of luck, and I continue to press on. To even have a chance of saving this run, I would have to reluctantly get rid of my druid at some point. But this would also mean making the run harder. But still, the crow was making it impossible to progress. I would also have to get rid of my additional cat that I recruited since I wanted to make my main cats stronger. In the suburbs fight, I made sure to dispose of my druid's crow and the druid so that they won't get in the way anymore in future runs. And even though my butcher got down early on, I somehow got my hunter with low health, making the clutch save, unleashing the scattershot ability to the Cerberus boss over and over again to take it out. I was so happy when I did this because I was this close to giving up, but the game's giving me signals that I should push onwards no matter what. This time around, I was more cautious of how I take out my enemies, making full use of my butcher and hunter's abilities because I know if I played each stage well enough, I could possibly secure a 2-cat victory, which I have never done before. And this might be the first one if I beat the final boss. After one final event to spoil my run, I finally went face to face with the last boss of the core. Normally, this boss has 2 phases. First is the Coven phase, where it has a large pool of health where it transforms into this guy after a couple of turns. But since I had an overpowered hunter and a decent butcher, I took my chances and just wailed on the Coven, unleashing a barrage of critical hits. I wasn't confident early on, but after it summoned a bunch of flies, my scattershot ability combined with the bouncy arrows worked in tandem with each other that destroyed the boss's health bar. With one final slash from the butcher, I finally won. my first 2 cat game, knowing that I came out from a really bad situation to salvaging the run. To be honest, that run was soul-crushing, but it forced me to face the reality of what makes this game work. Mewgenics is a strategy game, but with the stakes and gamble of RNG, giving it a twisted personality. If every run went exactly to plan, it would eventually become boring. As much as I hate the bird flu event, the randomness is exactly what kept me locked in, forcing me to pivot and adapt in ways I never expected. The adrenaline rush, that the certainty of not knowing if I'd actually make it to the end, felt incredible. Pulling off a victory against those kind of impossible odds is a feeling you can't get anywhere else. That's why for me, Mewgenics is the most evil cat game ever made, with its gameplay being both punishing and addicting at the same time, and I love it. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and check out my other videos as well. See you later and take care.